All right, guys, back to the madness that has happened, and I guess it happened a while ago, but this is something that T-Pain was talking about, where he was apparently he was on a plane, and Usher had gotten like a stewardess or something like that to call him into the back, and then Usher just basically told him, yeah, you ruined R&B, like you ruined the genre. And I'm like, and normally I would have taken that, and I guess that, like, you know, that made T-Pain depressed. He like went into like a 4-year depression or something crazy like that. And I wouldn't have even addressed the situation if I hadn't have looked at the comments after that, and I noticed that a lot of people were agreeing with Usher, and I'm like, what? Like, there was a lot of people actually agreeing with Usher, and they'd be like, yeah, you know it, but he's not wrong though. And I'm like, well, how in the fuck, how are you, like, how do people even, and there's comments after comments of people just agreeing with Usher at this point, and I'm just like, oh, this can't be, like, I'm living in the wrong timeline right now. I'm in the wrong timeline. How can you accuse somebody who is an artist for ruining the genre? You do understand that the genre has nothing to do with the person. Sure, he has an impact on said genre, but you can't accuse him of ruining that platform. Like, what is wrong with people sometimes? It blows my mind on how some people think, especially when it comes to that industry, or especially when it comes to gatekeeping in any genre for that matter, or in any platform for that matter. People tend to overextend the impact of one person, of what they can do to said thing, and they project their frustration onto that one person, and you can't do that. Like, you have to be able to think in a more broad sense of understanding of how this stuff actually works. And people just go off in a tangent, like, yeah, you know, yeah, he totally worked. Like, I remember I even seen some of like the comments where they were like, well, he's not wrong though. You kind of really think about it, he did kind of fuck up, you know, R&B. Like, it hasn't been the same since. And yeah, it hasn't been the same since, because the people are just following what's popular. He popularized something, and everybody went ahead and followed suit. You can't blame him for that. You should blame the industry. You should blame the people that want to hear that more consistently. I understand from an artist point of view, is going to be like, well, I can't afford T-Pain right now, so I'm just gonna do it myself. Like, I don't really need T-Pain to make auto-tune on my song. I'm just gonna constantly do it and see if I can figure it out on my own. And they didn't do it as half as good as he does, but it still was enough to get people to jump on their stuff. So it's like, okay, well then one person does it, then the next person does it, the next person, and then it floods the entire industry. You're gonna blame him because all of them decided to follow suit on what he did? With that kind of mentality, that's like saying that Mortal Kombat ruined the fighting game industry because it tried to emulate what Street Fighter did, but did it horribly. And so now it is Mortal Kombat's fault for the destruction of all fighting games and all of fighting games. Like, no, that doesn't work like that. You gotta understand that Mortal Kombat not only emulated or it pretty much copied what Street Fighter was, took its own spin on it, and became more popular in that genre. You can't be mad if everybody else tried to follow suit. And you gotta understand, everybody started doing fatalities after Mortal Kombat. Everybody was throwing out fatalities after that. Are you gonna say that Mortal Kombat ruined fighting games? No, of course not. People will see something that there's an old saying. We all have the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. People will see something that works and they'll go along with it until it no longer does. T-Pain saw something that worked, and then he decided that he was going to make it his own by capitalizing on something that was already invented. You gotta understand, Autotune itself was designed for like marine biology or something like that. It was to figure out the sounds of dolphins. Don't talk about dolphins right now. We're not talking about dolphins. But it was to figure out the sounds of like dolphins or sharks or something like that, or to figure out the amount of depth that that they were under when it comes to figuring out how high they were from the Earth's surface when they were in sea. And that's fine. He just took that and then he started to make music from it. Sure, it's already been a thing. We all get it. The idea that he invented autotune is obviously false, but the idea that he ruined R&B and hip hop by using that is completely insane. And again, people's ideas of how they project themselves from their frustration of how the industry is going is not one person's fault. And this stuff has been addressed multiple times in industry. This stuff has been addressed. People will see something that they don't like, and they will try to attack it before even understanding it. And there's a particular part of the industry that embraced it. Now, did they overcompensate in that, in embracing that? Sure, 100%, because everybody was doing it. And the problem, I would say, is the radio stations and the promoters who constantly shove this stuff down people's throats to the point that that's all you ever heard on the radio or on streaming platforms or on any form of music that was being presented as the popular stuff. See, and that's the key thing, is that there's no balance. There was no balance. And yes, there was a decline in R&B between that time. You gotta understand that the golden age of R&B and hip-hop was the 90s and the 2000s. Outside of that, things just started to slowly decline. And that's just the nature of things. You gotta understand is that there is a generational gap. And when you have a generational gap, you got all these platforms that are trying to compete to become the next big thing. What is it that the kids really enjoy? What is it that they really like to listen to? And there was a battle. You gotta understand, guys. This is what's crazy to me, is that there were movements throughout the 2000s to what we have now. There was a battle to see who would actually become the more prominent or the most dominant form of hip-hop. Hip-hop thinks that it's invincible. It's not. This is the same thing that happened to rock and roll. Rock and roll thought it was invincible. Now we look at rock and roll like with like Bill and Ted, like some old ass dudes that are like, yeah man, rock and roll is fucking awesome, dude. Like, bro, that shit is it. I'm not saying rock and roll is dead. I'm not gonna say that, but rock and roll has taken a huge dip in music because it all sounded the same once it got to a certain point, and the newer generation just stopped listening. If they wanted to hear the good stuff, they could just pop in their old Metallica cassette tape, and they could listen to some really good ass metal or rock or whatever that's out. They can pop in some Guns N' Roses and listen to some good metal. Like, all of the new stuff just didn't compare. And I would say the same with hip hop. It's that once that generational gap started to rise and the newer generation wanted to try something new, all of these new genres just started popping up out of nowhere. We had the hyphy music, the hyphy movement. We had the crunk movement. We had the chopped and screwed movement. We had the jerkin movement. You remember that? It's like, you're a jerk, I know. You're a jerk, I know. You're a jerk. Like, come on. Like, they had all these different movements that wanted to become the dominant new thing that everybody was listening to. And the one that actually got it, the one that took them all out, was mumble rap. Mumble rap was the one that won it all. And it's crazy because you can still be that guy that still champions, the crunk movement, or still be that guy that champions hyphy or whatever like that, but it doesn't matter. The mumble rap is the one that took over, and now everybody's doing it. And you can't say that mumble rap is ruining hip hop. You could say that it's kind of evolving hip hop in its own way, but the problem is that when everybody is doing the same thing, then it becomes congested. Then it becomes a problem, and then hip hop in general becomes at stake, because you need to have balance. You need to have your conscious rap. You need to have your baller rap. You need to have your gangster rap. You need to have your hyphy rap. You need to have your mumble rap. You need to have all this. You need to have a balance of everything. But when everything is congested with the same stuff over and over again, it loses balance, and then it becomes something that is consistently congested, and people just stop listening. They just move on to the next thing. That's how humans are. We get tired of the same shit over and over again. We can't handle that kind of repetition on a consistent basis. We need something new. We need something fresh. And the crazy thing is that when you have something new and fresh, like what T-Pain started, or I would say what he popularized. You have something new, you have something fresh that he popularized. People want to get on him because it became popular. You can't be mad at the guy that makes something popular. Sure, it's something that's cool and people enjoy it, but you gotta understand is that what he did was for him. He liked his own sound. People jumped on it, and then all of a sudden it's his fault? Like, what? Like, it's the fault of the industry for not being able to versify, or to be versatile enough to make new music with his popular music already being out there. Usher, you're gonna be mad at this man for shitting on R&B when you couldn't come up with something unique and personal to you on your own? You couldn't make something that was brand new and fresh to the industry, and now you're gonna be mad at him? What were you doing during the whole time that shit was becoming more and more popular? Everybody was doing auto-tune. Hip-hop was doing auto-tune. That shit was everywhere. Usher was still doing the same kind of R&B he was doing for years. He didn't change it up, and the sound started to get old, it started to get stale, and people started jumping on that train. Usher said something crazy to him. He said, you know what, it's a gimmick. He said, like, the auto-tune thing is a gimmick, and it ruined R&B, it ruined hip-hop. And I will say, you know what, he's right. It is a gimmick. It is 100% a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that he came up with and that he thought it was going to be good. To be upset with that individual because that gimmick worked. Dude, Mortal Kombat is a gimmick. Fatalities are a gimmick. Supers in Street Fighter are a gimmick. These things work though. You can't be mad and be like, man, the Street Fighter is throwing out super. What is this super? Oh, they got parries now? That's a gimmick. What are these parries? Like, bro, please, those are gimmicks. Those are all gimmicks that are designed to elevate a said particular part of platform so that more people would buy said thing. You're gonna be mad at somebody for coming up with a gimmick that worked and now everybody's up on it. You should be mad at the amount of people that are constantly wanting the same thing and then not figuring out how to come up with other things around that. Drake ruined hip-hop. You see, like, that's the Drake ruined hip-hop. How did he ruin hip-hop? Because he's popular? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You have somebody like Eminem. Who could have said the same stuff that he's been saying his whole entire career. He could have been the greatest fucking MC his entire career. But if it wasn't for Dre putting him on Aftermath and making his music popular, nobody would have gave a shit. So to say that, oh yeah, Drake ruined this and that, no, Drake is just popular. And so everybody listens to his stuff because that's the popular thing. Eminem became popular, and then they listen to his lyrics and they're like, damn, this dude is actually really nice. Like, what the, like, dude, like, we gotta start listening to. And then everybody started listening to him and he became popular. And then he starts saying some crazy stuff, and then he's like, oh, he's so controversial. Bro, he even shitted on what was popular, and that was popular. He shitted on NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and all that stuff like that, and that was what was popular. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, he was just being a hater on people just doing what they do because they enjoy just making music for themselves. They're like, hey, I just want to make music. Like, why am I getting shitted on by this random dude from out of nowhere from Drake's camp? Like, please. Like, it's insane. It's insane that people have that kind of mentality where, same thing with like Limp Bizkit. I got into it on Twitter with this guy who was like, man, Limp Bizkit was terrible and they ruined fucking rock music and all. So I was like, what are you talking? Like, Limp Bizkit's got some bangers. Like, are you crazy? Like, Give Me Something to Break was like a slap. No, man, all they did was just take stuff from Rage Against the Machine, and that's, yeah, and they ruined it. And I'm like, they came up with their own style. Sure, they might have gotten some inspiration from Rage Against the Machine, and they admitted to that, but you gotta understand that they created their own lane, and as cheesy as they are, we can't deny that there's a little bit of cringe when it comes to Limp Bizkit. But if they make good music, why are you mad? Why do you care? You're pissed off because they're popular. That's what makes you mad. Usher is mad because T-Pain's popular. you guys in chat, it says, oh, Drake ruined hip hop and stuff like that. You're mad because he's popular. Like Eminem was pissed off that NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and all that shit, he's just mad because they're popular. He's pissed off because that kind of music is popular and it congests the industry, and I get it. I get it. This is like the mentality of backpack rappers. And backpack rappers are comically short-sighted. Like, they have tunnel vision when it comes to music, and they feel that if you aren't making music that has some sort of message in some kind of way, or in some fucking deep thought, or you're throwing out like fucking 3,000 syllable fucking words that you got off the dictionary, my ontological, my metaphysical, lyrical, spiritual, individual, like, shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck. No one knows what the hell you're saying, man. No one cares about, like, just stop. Dude, are you making music that people actually enjoy? Are you filling the damn clubs? Are you getting people to dance? No one gives a shit about your complicated rhyme style. No one wants to listen to that shit. They want to know if you got bangers in the club and you can make the girl shake their ass and you can fill up and make the DJ more popular in the club. No one gives a fuck about that shit. Like, shut the fuck. My metaphysical, spiritual, lyrical. I'm the motherfucking old. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, those dudes always hate. They always hate. And who called them out on that? Kanye West called them out on that shit. The Roots, when it was Things Fall Apart, on the Things Fall Apart album, on the first part, it was the first skit, they talked about it, and they literally say, it's like, yo, it's like, man, the people don't know their culture, they don't know their music, man. People need to get back to the music. And it's like, dude, what? Everything you just said was bullshit. If you make music that the people will like, then the people will come. Simple as that. You make music that they like, they will come. Kanye West proved this. Kanye West proved this with Jesus Walks. Jesus Walks should not have been a club banger, and it was. He also did that song, Diamonds Are Forever. Those are supposed to be songs that are you know, underground, you know, make you feel stuff like that. You know, it's like, you know, it's real cool. Maybe I sit back and smoke a blunt or something and just listen to his lyrics and everything. Bro, those were bangers, man. Those were bangers. Then they filled the club. Pac did the same thing, man. Pac would come out and make good music, have a message in there, and it would fill the clubs. People enjoyed that stuff. So why would you be mad at that person for making a shallow song? Let's get it out of the way. T-Pain makes some shallow music. So does Drake. So does Cash Money. Like, all of them do. Like, so does, like, I mean, it's all shallow music. The problem is balance. And that is the problem with the industry as a whole, is the fact that there's no balance when it comes to popular music and influential music that actually has a message. And that's where the backpack rappers get all pissed off, because they want to be angry at the popular artists who are making this. They're just making music because they just want to make music. If their music doesn't sell, they'll move on to something else. But the music starts to sell, so why would they stop? Of course they're going to continue, and their music is going to continue to get played. You're going to be mad at them? Like, this is, oh my God, people just, it blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense. And, you know, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something right now. You know what? This kind of stuff also happens with Max. Yeah, I'm saying it. There is a group out there that gets angry at Max because he plays all these different games and he's not dedicated to one fucking game. And so when he starts to play one certain game, they get pissed off. Oh, how is he gonna play this one game that I've been playing my entire life? Oh, he shouldn't be playing the game. He doesn't deserve that. The gatekeepers are crazy. It's insane. Like, the mentality of, bro, I'm playing this game, so how are you gonna get all of these views and all of these people watching you playing this game when I'm the aficionado of this game? I've been playing this game since I was 5 years old. Ah! Like, and it's crazy because they get actually pissed off when, and I remember this was like this, it was like an event or a tournament or something like that, and Max was invited to said event, right? And dude, the Gatekeepers came out of the woodwork. They were like, bro, you're gonna let him in? Why don't you let some of us in? We've been playing this game. We got super dedicated to this thing. And dude, the uproar, Twitter was on fire and everybody was losing their minds. And then Max came out and was like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, let them go to the event. I don't really care. Yeah, knock yourself out. I'd rather let them get some shine. Yeah, let them get some shine. I'm fine. Go ahead and let them go to the event. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. All right. And then everything was fine. It was like, what? What just happened? Bro, people love to do that. And it happens in music. It happens in hip hop, man. Like, people will gatekeep the fuck out of these things for no apparent reason. For no apparent reason. And people do that all the time. You can't force the idea that they have to do it your way when things aren't going the way that you want it to go. Like, it's insane when people get upset that something starts to become popular and then everybody jumps on the bandwagon and then what you were doing is no longer popular. That is the way the music industry goes. That is the way pretty much all media goes. And if you can't handle that, whose fault is that? You can't blame said artist or said performer or said anything. You can't blame that person. You have to blame the industry for not creating a form of balance to where people can actually get a broader perspective of how the music is. Sure, you can have your J. Cole, you can have your Kendrick Lamar. We could talk about Mount Rushmore, for crying out loud. You can put Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, and I think the fourth one was either Nicki or Lil Wayne. I saw a version where they had Nicki in all the Mount Rushmore, and then Lil Wayne was on the top because he sunned them all. So I think that one was the most accurate. You know what I mean? But you can't have Kendrick and J. Cole being like, you know, one of the most influential people in hip hop, and then all of a sudden be like, well, why aren't they playing their music more? They should play their music more, because all you hear on the I don't give a fuck who you are, especially on the West Coast right now, all you hear is Drake. All you hear is Drake. And that is the problem with the industry, is that I'm not saying certain artists will pay radio stations to play their music more, but when a music station is consistently playing one artist all the time, the music in general will become saturated. If you're only playing mumble rap consistently over and over again, the music will become saturated. You have to be able to balance. Give me the balance, baby. Just do the balance. Come on, guys. You have to be able to balance these type of genres when it comes to music. And if you don't, then of course it gets saturated. And when it came to T-Pain making a particular sound, or popularizing, again, he didn't invent it. When he comes to him popularizing a particular sound, you got to understand that this man is not the problem with the music industry and the decline of R&B. I'll say it right now, there's a huge decline of R&B. I'm coming from the age of where if you were a popular rapper and you made a hit song, it's because you had some R&B artist on that track. That's not the case anymore. Drake changed that whole style up. Drake said, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it myself. Like, I don't need to have an R&B artist on the track to make it popular. I'll just sing and rap at the same time. Now, every rapper is doing that. It's crazy. Like, every rapper I don't care who you are. Like, Chris Brown used to be strictly an R&B guy. Now he's a rapper and an R&B guy. Like, it's crazy. He doesn't need to do that anymore. The idea that when somebody makes something popular and everybody follows suit should be taken with a grain of salt, because there were people that hated Roger Troutman when he created the music box, right? Or God, what was it? The tone box, right? You guys know who? Some of you know who Roger Troutman is. And when he came out with that, people were like, hey, that doesn't sound right, man. Like, what is this? Like, what's going on here? And then it started to become more popular. The talk box. Thank you, Vendetta. Yes. Roger Troutman comes out with a talk box. People didn't like it, and then people really started to like it. And then it was everywhere. It was the sound. It was the sound of the West Coast, man. Everybody had that. And the only person that you heard using that sound was Roger Troutman at the time. we get into we get further down the road, and now somebody's using something else that is pretty similar to what Roger Troutman was. Let's not fake the funk here. That shit is very similar to what Roger Troutman was doing. It's just a different style. That's it. And now everybody jumps on the bandwagon. To be mad at the artist for doing that makes no sense. You're projecting that frustration that you're having, that what you're doing doesn't work anymore, and that you have to find a way to get that said crowd back. But you can't get that crowd back if T-Pain and everybody that's emulating T-Pain is all over the place. You can't do that. Sure, there's probably a dozen fighting games out there that have fallen under the radar because Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and whatever and Tekken have filled up all of the blocks when it comes to people being interested. Oh man, what's the new fighting game that's coming out? Oh, let me go check out to see what's the new fighting game out. There's a lot of indie guys out there that be like, man, those games aren't good. My game is good. You can't do that. There has to be a way where you can grab an audience, make good content, and still not be a hater towards the stuff that's already popular and already out now. To do that is extremely short-sighted, and it makes you look bitter. It makes you look horribly bitter. And the people, and again, when Usher said this to T-Pain, and T-Pain, said he got depressed and he felt horrible and stuff like that, and afterwards, I took it as a story like that, and I was like, I'm just gonna scroll through a little bit of comments and see everybody agree with what I'm thinking, because the idea is like, it doesn't make sense. This is obviously really dumb. Usher's out of line. He fucked up. He shitted on somebody that would have had even a more prosperous career if he hadn't fallen into that, slight depression only because of that. And you got to take it with a grain of salt. The problem is people want to look at something that they can hate. They need the scapegoat. They need that scapegoat that they can be just so pissed off about, and they go after the artist instead of the industry as a whole. And that's the problem. Migos got bars. Well, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, people hate on Migos. People hate on Migos all the time. Migos is just another transition, bro. You had 2 Live Crew. 2 Live Crew disappears, and who comes in after that? Yin Yang Twins. Yin Yang Twins comes in, blows up the spot, disappears. Who comes next? Little John. You go from 2 Live Crew to either Little John first or Yin Yang Twins, and then you have Migos. It's just a generational gap. It's a generational gap. There's always going to be somebody to replace the old with the new. People will get tired of it and they'll move on to something else. When you have that transition between artists that kind of sound similar, but they have their own, unique style that is kind of, that kind of reminds you of said thing, then it blows up. It becomes the next it thing, and people just gravitate towards it because it's good music. Why are you angry with good music? Stop being angry when people make music that everybody enjoys. What was it? Oh, I actually know who was in the middle of that. It goes from 2 Live Crew to not Little John, but you also had Cash Money. Cash Money blew up, and the Hot Boys was also a thing. And man, I'll admit it, I was a hater. I hated Hot Boys. I felt like Hot Boys was the gangster rap version of the Backstreet Boys. They were the gangster rap version of NSYNC, man. Like, they was straight up bullshit. They'll never last. Their music is trash. They're not giving us stuff that we can enjoy. They're not giving us all that shit. They're not giving us the music that actually has meaning, that gives us some sort of a lyrical and influential feeling after we listen to said album or said song. That, man, they're just talking about rapping about chains and cars and getting bitches and all this dumb and money and shit. Like, what the fuck is that, man, out of here? And they stayed on top for so damn long. They stayed on top, and then they bred the ultimate rapper of 2020 right now, which is fucking Lil Wayne. Everybody gives Lil Wayne all the respect. He gets goated off of everything because he put some of the best musicians on the platform, and I don't give a fuck who you are. If it wasn't for Young Money, hip hop would be stale as fuck. If it wasn't for Drake, if it wasn't for Nicki, hip hop would be kind of stale right now. And you can be mad as fuck about those people from Young Money and Cash Money all you want. Yeah, hate to admit it, but man, they gave us some bangers, and that's all we can ask for. Somebody in the chat was saying something about was it Bad Baby? Like, oh my god, like, see, there's somebody you could just love to hate. You could love to hate Bad Baby all you want. You can hate her. She's the most annoying little girl you can ever imagine. But does she make bangers? Yes. That's the bottom line. She makes good music. You can't be mad at her. You can't be. There's talent that is out there that people overlook, and when it comes to the worst people on earth, you gotta respect the talent, but you don't actually have to like the people. The same thing could be said about Mayweather. Like, Mayweather has the most annoying personalities you can ever imagine. He sets himself up to be the bad guy, and everybody can't stand Mayweather. But is he a talented boxer? Yes, without a doubt. He's probably the greatest defensive boxer of our generation, if not of all time. But we hate the fuck out of him, and we want to see him lose. We do, but it's too late now. He's already retired, and he's not going to go back in the ring and play an actual bout where he has the chance to lose his belt. He's not going to do that. He doesn't give a shit. So stay mad. Yeah, enjoy the L's of all the haters of Mayweather, because that's the bottom line. The idea that you can make something that becomes the most popularized or the most interesting or the most followed concept that's out there, and people get upset at you for it, is shit. That's what I'm gonna say about it. That shit is whack as fuck. Like, I cannot jump in that bandwagon. And people out there that say, yeah, you know, what he did was gimmicky and he ruined the genre. Again, you're looking at it from the worst. You're looking at it from tunnel vision. You're looking at it from the worst perspective. And I don't respect that, because it's people like that that try to influence others into believing how they perceive things. And you're not using your brain when it comes to that. And for somebody like Usher to shit on T-Pain, obviously it sucks when you have like your idol like shit on you like that. I'm sure T-Pain looked up to Usher. I'm sure without a doubt. It's like me going to Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson telling you like, oh, you get the fuck out of here. You're trash. You know, like you just break down and cry or something like that. And I can understand how T-Pain felt after, like, damn, like he really just did me like that. Like, wow. If something becomes popular and you don't like it, make something different. Make some, at least attempt to make something different that can counter that. Again, it's all about balance. You need to find that balance when it comes to music, when it comes to gaming, when it comes to pretty much everything, guys. You have to find that balance. And hip-hop is not untouchable. It will fall into the cracks of being just a gimmick, because that's exactly how they first saw hip-hop way back in, you know, the 80s, where it was like, whether the hip-hop, the hip-hop, stop it, don't stop, I drop it to the bang bang boogie, the up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to be, like old school shit like that. Like, bro, like everybody thought that shit was gonna be a gimmick. Everybody thought that shit, oh yeah, it's just a fad, who cares, like, you know, just get that shit out of here. And it became a culture. It became a culture, and it was a way for poets and artists to express themselves over a beat and really be able to inspire a generation with the influence of their music. And people hold that dearly to themselves. They hold that with pride and respect, and they say, hey, this is, you know, my culture right now, don't fuck with it. And backpack rappers will gatekeep the fuck out of it until they realize that it has nothing to do with lyrics being popular. It's the music, it is the production. You have to look at it as a whole. And if you're just trying to make music that is that underground, you know, oh man, I'm just to do that underground type shit. And same thing with Usher. If you're just trying to stick to the script of what R&B is, and you want it to stay that way forever, don't be surprised when that shit falls apart and something new comes along and no one's listening to that shit anymore. Wu-Tang's forever. Wu-Tang, hey, I love Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang is my shit till the end of time, man. Wu-Tang is forever, but you gotta understand that they were haters too, man. They hated on Puff Daddy and all that shit for the longest time. They always did. Even at the beginning of Wu-Tang Forever, they were shitting on the shiny ass baller rappers that were out there, you know what I mean? Like, that shit was funny. And at the time, we were all like that. At the time, we were like, yeah, man, that shit's trash, man. You don't want to listen to that shit. Like, your shirt looked like a dish rag. Your shirt looked like a curtain. Like, it was shit. It was the funniest stuff. But when you go back and look at it, it was like, don't be mad at what they do. It's what they do. If it becomes popular, you're gonna be upset about that. Just let them do what you do. What you do. And if that shit becomes popular, then go with that. Don't be pissed off because like they're making their own lane in what they do. So that's how I see it. You know, yeah, you know, Run DMC, Wu-Tang. What about Lil Nas X? Lil Nas X is his own lane. He's his own lane. So I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at that at all. Fucking Rick Ross is probably the most annoying rapper of all time because all he fucking talks about is drugs, bitches, and money. That's all he fucking talks about. And that's all he knows. That's all he knows. Oh, and being a security guard. But outside of that, it's like, okay, well, if that's all he knows and that's all he likes to rap about, then why are you mad? Let him rap about whatever the fuck he knows about and let him just do whatever the fuck he does. Maybach Music was dominating the airwaves. You can't be pissed. You can't be mad. Meek Mill was killing it. And so is he. So it's like, okay, we get it. I mean, I can't be one of those people on the sidelines that be like, man, fuck what that guy's doing. I hate what he's doing. I don't like mumble rap. I can admit that. I don't like mumble rap, but if it works and people enjoy it, who the fuck am I to be? Damn, you guys shouldn't be listening to that. That's not real hip hop. Please. I can't throw salt on somebody's preference in music. Like, it's the weirdest. Like, the mentality of that is strange to me. Like, to be angry at somebody for liking something that you don't agree with. Maybe it's just not for you. And take it as that. That baby got slappers for real. Yeah, she does. How do you feel about Denzel Curry? He's got bangers. He's more of a lyrical rapper. He's definitely more of a lyrical rapper. They also hated on 50 Cent too. 50 Cent came in hating on 50 Cent came into the game hating on other rappers. So he came in the same way. He used the same formula as Eminem. But Eminem couldn't use that same formula against said people. You're not gonna come in as Eminem talking shit to Murder Inc. because you're gonna get your ass beat. But you got somebody like 50 Cent who uses the formula that Eminem did and hated on Murder Inc. And then you're gonna have beef. There's no beef between Murder Inc. and Eminem. You're just gonna get your ass beat. That's it. But 50, you know, he's got boys with him. There's gonna be a problem. You know what I mean? There's gonna be shit happening in the studios and shit like that. Motherfuckers get poked up, and that's exactly what happened. So you can't really put that that kind of idea with him. There's a yin and yang to every genre of music. You gotta have both. I 100% agree. I think that there needs to be a balance, and that people need to be exposed to the levels, to certain levels of a music genre. You gotta understand, conscious rap, which is what a lot of backpack rappers fall under the category of. But I mean, you gotta understand, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole also fall under that category of conscious rap. They do. But their production is way more solidified in their genre of music, where it doesn't even fall under that anymore. Yes, Kendrick's got bars, Kendrick's got lyrics for fucking days, but the production value leaves it out of the idea of it just being backpack rappers. Like, I mean, like you understand, the backpack rapping or backpack rappers sounds like this. Like, where is it? They used to make fun of that shit. Like, people used to make fun of that shit all the time. It's like, where is it? Hold on. I'm gonna shoot this guy's shit.
All these are the prophets. These are the chosen few. These are the selected youth. These are the ones that shine upon thine meridian with the fourth level of Gondor.
Fourth level of Gondor.
Enter the metaphysical visionary third chapter dimensions. Castle of Gorgi, I see darkness. Intertwine my mind upon thine 9 caliber. Russian roulette stamina. Tylenol flips the fast track of the anomaly. That's preposterous. My words are metaphors towards the... What?
Fuck up, man. What's wrong with you?
Bro, like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, yeah, they used to make shit. They used to make fun of this stuff all the time. This stuff is not new. This wasn't a new concept. There's all these different variations and stuff like that. People just have their own style, and if you can't follow along with said style, that's fine. You're allowed to not like it, but don't shit on somebody else's idea of what they think is good music just because you don't like it. There are some trash fucking songs out there that I've made it to the radio and I am like, oh, what the fuck is this? And it's like the biggest bangers of all time. Will Smith's 90s rap is untouchable. Summertime, bro. Summertime is a GOAT. You know how much the industry used to shit on Will Smith, talking about he was the biggest sellout and he used to make, you know, music for fucking pussies and fucking kids and shit like that. Like, oh man, he ain't real. They used to call Will Smith a sellout. They used to call Will Smith a sellout, bro. And it's crazy because the idea of what is considered a sellout is always subjective, but it blows my mind. Backpack rappers are basically conscious rappers, but they make music kind of like what you just heard, where I'll sum up a backpack rapper, just an idea. Backpack rappers usually are the ones that will go to a record store, grab you know, some old ass vinyl of a song from, like, you know, the 1960s or the 1970s, and then put a beat over it and just rap over that shit and be like, yo, I just got this hot track, and expect millions of people to listen to that shit. Now, do backpack rappers keep the industry alive? I would say so. It's the same thing with saying the Smash community, keeping Smash alive. Sure, they do. They're the ones that constantly play that fucking game to the end of time. And when something new comes in, like let's say Kazuya, they fucking flip their shit because it's not something that they were expecting and they lose their damn minds. It's insane to me that both parties, backpack rappers and the Smash communities, are the biggest gatekeepers you can ever imagine. Like the biggest gatekeepers you come across with, and it is funny as hell. It's funny as hell because they don't understand that there are different ways to like something. It's okay to really be a fan of something but not play it all the time. It's okay to be a really big fan of a genre or music or something like that and not know anything else about the history of hip-hop or something like that. It's okay to just like certain music in hip-hop. It's not the end of the world for that person to like, oh man, you tell me you never listened to a Nas album? Like, what? Oh, what, you never heard of a Tupac album? Bro, you never listened to Big L? Like, no, they just want to listen to Migos or whoever the fuck is out right now. They don't know anything. Like, it's okay to enjoy hip-hop but not know the history of KRS-One, or, you know the pioneers like Run DMC, you know what I mean, or you know, Jay-Z and the classics that have been out there, you know what I mean. Like, it's just one of those things where you have to take it with a grain of salt when there's new people that haven't been born when you were born, so they don't know the things that you don't know, or they don't know the things that you know unless you tell them, and then you can explain to them, oh yeah, well, that's just a remix of this old song that you know, happened out, you know, years ago and shit like that. We were the same way. I remember getting the Chronic, Dr. Dre's The Chronic, and just playing like tracks from that shit and be like, yeah man, this, you know, this song is a banger, like, oh my god, yo, this is the music right here. And then my parents would be like, yeah, I heard that song already. Yeah, it's just a remix of an old song that we used to listen to way back in like high school. I'd be like, what? Like, yeah, no, that's just all music. Like, nah, that stuff's whack. Nah, I don't want to listen to that. No, this is music right here. It's like, nah, we actually have those songs. They're just taking those tracks, putting a beat over it, and then making their own music out of it. They're playing karaoke. It's just karaoke, but with their own lyrics. That's literally what it is. And you're like, sure, I guess really think about it. And now the new wave comes in, and they're just taking old music. They're just taking old music and just doing whatever the fuck they want with it. Nobody cares anymore. Fuck it. Do it live. Do it live. It's just a glorified version of an old song that's already been redone, and everybody does it in hip hop. And this is why a lot of people thought that hip hop as a genre was going to be something that was just a fad. It was just a gimmick. You know what I mean? It wasn't gonna last and stuff like that. And the industry proved them wrong. It dominated the charts over the years, and you gotta pay respects. And I think that somebody like T-Pain probably doesn't need to take it to heart. And there's a clip of him actually talking about it afterwards, where he's just telling people, it's like, bro, if I listened to those people, I wouldn't be where I was at today. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing that he got to that point where he realizes that, you know, if I listened to all those people, I wouldn't have been where I am today. Like, just do what makes you happy. Do the music that makes you happy. And if anybody else that says that you shouldn't be doing that, fuck them. Fuck them up against the wall. Who cares? You don't need them anyway. And do what you do. That's it. Do what you do. I'll leave you with that. I'm done. You get the hell out of here. Everybody get out. I'm ending the stream. That's all.